What is the debt ceiling and why does it exist? The debt ceiling is a limit on the total amount of money that the United States can borrow to fund the government and meet its financial obligations. It was first put in place by Congress during World War I, to give blanket authorization for the Treasury Department to borrow money up to a set amount. Since then, Congress has raised the debt ceiling 78 times, but not without political controversy. The debt ceiling does not authorize any new spending. It simply allows the United States to pay for the programs that Congress has already approved. These include social safety net programs, interest on the national debt, and salaries for members of the armed forces. The debt ceiling also covers the gross debt, which includes both the debt held by the public and the debt owed to other government accounts. If Congress fails to raise or suspend the debt ceiling, the United States could default on its obligations, which would have disastrous consequences for the economy and the global financial system. That's why President Biden and Republicans in Congress are on a collision course over this issue, as they disagree on whether any spending cuts or other reforms should be attached to a debt ceiling increase. The clock is ticking, as the Treasury Department has warned that it could run out of cash by June 1 if no action is taken. What are the consequences of not raising or suspending the debt ceiling? Well, they are nothing short of catastrophic. If the U.S. government breaches the debt ceiling, it will not be able to pay its bills, including Social Security checks, payroll for service members and other federal employees, and Medicare reimbursements. Interest payments on past debt could go unpaid, which would mean the U.S. government would default on its debts for the first time in history. A default would have severe repercussions for the U.S. and the global economy. It would result in a downgrade by credit rating agencies, increased borrowing costs for businesses and homeowners alike, and a drop-off in consumer confidence that could shock the financial market and tip the economy into recession. Some experts estimate that a default could wipe out as much as 6% of U.S. GDP and raise unemployment to 9%. It could also trigger a global financial crisis, as many countries and institutions hold U.S. Treasury bonds as a safe and liquid asset. A default would undermine the credibility of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency and erode trust in the U.S. as a reliable partner. This is not a hypothetical scenario. The U.S. has come dangerously close to defaulting on its debt several times in recent years, due to political gridlock and brinkmanship over the debt ceiling. In 2011, Congress waited until the last minute to raise the debt ceiling, causing Standard & Poor's to downgrade the U.S. credit rating for the first time ever. In 2013, a government shutdown over the debt ceiling lasted for 16 days and cost the economy $24 billion. In 2021, Congress had to pass several short-term extensions of the debt ceiling to avoid a default amid a pandemic-induced economic crisis. The debt ceiling is a self-imposed limit that serves no practical purpose other than creating uncertainty and instability. It does not control government spending or reduce the national debt, as those decisions are made separately by Congress. It only limits the Treasury Department's ability to borrow money to pay for what Congress has already authorized. Raising or suspending the debt ceiling does not increase the nation's financial commitments, it simply allows the government to honor them. The debt ceiling is a dangerous game that Republicans are playing with the U.S. economy and the world's financial system. They are using it as a political weapon to demand spending cuts or other concessions from President Biden and the Democrats. They are ignoring the warnings of economists, business leaders, and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who have all urged Congress to act swiftly and responsibly to address the debt ceiling before it is too late. They are risking a default that could have devastating consequences for millions of Americans and billions of people around the world. The debt ceiling is not a game. It is a matter of national security and global stability. Congress should raise or suspend it without delay and without conditions. Anything less would be reckless and irresponsible. Why are Republicans playing a dangerous game with the debt ceiling? The debt ceiling is the legal limit on how much the federal government can borrow to pay its bills. If Congress does not raise or suspend the debt ceiling by June 1, the Treasury Department will run out of money and the will default on its obligations for the first time in history. This could trigger a global financial crisis and a recession. But Republicans are demanding spending cuts and other cost savings as a condition for raising or suspending the debt ceiling, even though they supported raising it under former President Trump without such conditions. They are trying to use the debt ceiling as a leverage to push their agenda and undermine President Biden's policies. This is hypocritical and irresponsible. Republicans are holding the economy hostage for political gain. They are ignoring the fact that the debt ceiling does not authorize new spending, but only allows the government to pay for what Congress has already approved. They are also ignoring the fact that most of the debt was accumulated under Republican administrations, including Trump's, who added nearly $8 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. Republicans are playing a dangerous game with the debt ceiling because they are risking a default that could have catastrophic consequences for millions of Americans and the world. A default could raise interest rates, lower credit ratings, increase borrowing costs, reduce Social Security benefits, delay tax refunds, disrupt government services, and hurt businesses and consumers. Republicans should stop playing games with the debt ceiling and work with Democrats to find a bipartisan solution that protects the full faith and credit of the United States. The debt ceiling is not a tool for partisan politics, but a matter of national security and economic stability.